What's up? What's up to all my goddesses? Peace and blessings to my fam. I hope everybody is taking care of themselves, mind, body, and spirit, because that is what it is always about. I say that at the top of each podcast episode because it's so important to remember to stay connected, mind, body, and spirit, especially in the crazy times that we're living in today. Okay, so before we get started into any podcast, I'd love to first and foremost thank you for tuning into this podcast today. If this is your first time as a listener, please be sure to follow this podcast if you like what you're hearing. And if you are returning, as always, welcome. We are glad that you are here, okay? So before I get started into any deets and any topics, I always love to get the business out of the way because that's so important, and we just want to get that out at the top of the show, okay? So first and foremost, this episode is going to be super epic, so make sure you stick around for the whole thing. And you can follow me. This podcast is now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Podvine. We are all over the place, and we are now uploading edited videos to the YouTube channel Holistic and Spiritual AF, and that's and spelled out. Okay, guys? So, you can follow me on social media as well. That information will be in the description of this episode. Okay, so once again, like I said, this is going to be one of those short and sweet episodes that I'm going to be doing. I recently started the podcast Anywhere, Anytime episodes and, clips that I do, something a little shorter than the 30-45 minute ones that I was doing when I get a chance to sit down in front of my computer and have my video on. These typically will not have the video recording, but just simply the audio, but it's always loaded full of valuable information for you guys to help you and assist you on your journey. Okay. So today, this is going to be episode 11, and we're actually talking about sorcery today. And the title of this is Watch Out for the Sorcerers, okay? Now, I know this is probably going to be controversial, and actually, I hope it is. And if you do have some comments, feel free to drop those down in the the question and answer section. That I'll have some questions over there because I love getting you guys feedback. It helps me to grow, and it helps me to see things from a different perspective, okay? So first and foremost, I know that a lot of people are even confused as to exactly what a sorcerer is, okay? Because a lot of people are walking around titling themselves and labeling themselves as things that they think is okay because they really haven't done any research behind it, or they're just functioning from a very low vibration, okay? So first and foremost, to be a sorcerer, some people may think, oh, it's just to work with black magic, oh, it's to do witchcraft, but it's actually to work with magic and sorcery utilizing evil spirits, okay? Don't get me wrong. There is a time when you may have to, really get dark with it, and that may be necessary. But generally speaking, it's not something you want to have to be dibble-dabbling with on a regular basis each and every time that you are working with the roots or doing some sort of spiritual ritual work, okay? So let's just get into it. A lot of times, I know, like I said, social media has a lot of things that can be quite confusing to people. And if you've never heard of this, if you haven't connected with your ancestors, that's why I always start with that. I always say connecting with your own ancestors, starting to heal yourself. You'll be guided towards exactly what's right for you based on what's in your lineage, okay? But if you just jump out there and start grabbing things a la carte, it can get pretty tricky. Check out one of my other episodes about coming to the ancestors with respect. I go into great detail about what happened to me when I started doing things like that, okay? And how, a lot of that has to do with why I try to instill the importance of really understanding what it is that you're doing out there and who you're dealing with inside of these spirit streets, okay? So social media has a lot of things that oftentimes gets us confused. We're grabbing this, we're grabbing that, we're talking to so-and-so. And one of the things that I notice, particularly on Instagram, is I always have like a lot of these different tarot readers and these intuitives and all these different types of people that'll get inside of my message box, and they will say things like, hey, I want to do a reading, or, oh, I sense an evil spirit around you, or, oh, I have a message for you, and all of these different things, okay? And so I actually had somebody who sent me a reading. And I get that often, actually. And I'm thinking to myself, like, first and foremost, that's extremely rude. I didn't ask you for a reading. You didn't ask me if you could do a reading on me. And so now what you're doing is you're going around to people's pages on Instagram. You're reading their names. You're going down, looking at their pictures, and you're trying to get information about that person in order to get some money out of the deal. Okay. So it's a lot of charlatans out there, a lot of people that are utilizing capitalism and working and functioning in a very Europonic, capitalistic, colonialistic way with this spirituality. Okay, so that in itself kind of lets you know what vibration and what frequency they're functioning from. So this is why you have to be very careful, because first and foremost, just because you know how to do something does not mean that you are supposed to be doing it. To be a priest, to be a priestess, to be a shaman, to be a healer, to be some of these things that we coin as titles or facilitators of healing, a lot of times it's a calling, okay? It's something that is inside of your DNA. It's something that you've done in a previous lifetime, or it's something that you have went through a tremendous amount of study up under someone who is already, initiated, or an adept, or somebody who has spent a lifelong process into doing this, and they see something in you, and they're going to go ahead and make you their apprentice and teach you things, because they're going to teach you properly. They're going to teach you the same thing. Let's talk about protection. Let's talk about healing. Let's talk about connecting with your ancestors. Let's talk about understanding and knowing who your spirit guides are and these spirit representatives that you're going to be working with inside of the spirit realm. Okay, they don't just jump out and get a book and say, oh, now I know how to read tarot, so now I'm going to go start reading mass tarot on TikTok, and I'm going to just let anybody jump on my live, and I'm going to start reading for you. And now all of a sudden I'm getting information, and wow, you know what? I'm very spiritual now. It couldn't be further from the truth. Okay, because who are you working with? That's the main thing. If these people are not connected or don't have a conscious connection and a working relationship with the divine creator, whomever they choose to recognize as such, if they don't have a working relationship and a relationship that they have built with either their ancestors or their spirit guides to know who is who and who is not, then there is no telling who they're working with. Okay, we talked about this before. There's many different spirit realms out there, and that doesn't mean that we belong in all of them. That's why it's so important to understand your lineage. It's important to understand where you come from so that you can know where you're going, or else you're easily to be manipulated by people who don't know what the hell they're doing either. Okay, so there's questions that you want to ask these people. First and foremost, I would steer clear of anybody that's dropping inside of your messenger saying, hey, let me do a reading for you, or oh, I have a message for you. Those people are strictly for money. That's not how that's done. That is just not how that's done. Now, if you feel that you are resonant towards someone for whatever reason, and you go to that person and ask them for a reading, and they choose to do that, that's totally okay, because that is, like I said, that's your decision. You feel connected and drawn to that person for whatever reason, then you can act on your own intuition when it comes to that. But you definitely want to know about the person that is doing your reading. I said this before in another episode. Where are they coming from? Like, seriously, how long have you been studying this? You know what I'm saying? What just listen to them, talk to them. What pantheon are you coming from? Do you have a working relationship with your ancestors? Have you done and do you currently do shadow work on your own? How much spiritual and light work do you do? Because a lot of times people think it's all about cracking ass on the dark side of things, and that we got to go in here and get some justice for something, and they completely forget about the other side of the spirit realm, which is the healing side. Okay, you have to have the duality of light and dark. Okay, there has to be a balance of that. That's why I said sometimes you may have to pull out some evil spirits to work with in order to crack somebody's ass. But if that's all you're doing, and you're not doing any kind of like light work, any kind of healing work, any kind of shadow work, because shadow work can also be deemed as dark work as well, depending on the severity of your issues and your trauma and your life. But a lot of that stuff has to be cleared first before you can even think about jumping into the more advanced side of, oh, I'm going to go manifest a whole lot of money, or oh, I'm going to go and make this person my man, or I want to buy this house, so I'm going to do that. We're missing the point here, and we're leaving out the spiritual aspect of it. And what I notice when I see a lot of things on social media is absolutely nobody, and I mean nobody, who is doing this work. I hear talking about God. Very few. I take that back. I hear everybody talking about everything under the sun and showing you all kinds of tricks with oils and candles and showing you things too prematurely. And they're not saying anything about God. And that scares the shit out of me. No lie. First and foremost, I don't get a lot of readings anymore because I have grown to a place where I can get all the information that I need on my own. I can get information from my ancestors. I have a very long working relationship with them, as well as my spirit guides. And I also have a lot of protection rituals. I have warrior ancestors that I work with, so I can always feel when something is off. There is no entities and spirits that are around me that are not supposed to be around me. But if you don't have that connection and that understanding on your own, you're wide open. I just hate to say that. You are wide open for any and everything. So some of these people who could be telling you things to feed off of your fear. Oh, you have a dark spirit that is ruling your life, and that's why things aren't going well for you. When in actuality, you may have some intense shadow work that you need to heal to be able to move on to the next phase of your journey, okay? So they could easily manipulate you and actually feed off of the energy of your fear because you don't know. And this really, I kind of blame people for being spiritually lazy. They want to find a quick fix to be able to get access to something without doing the work. And I've explained that several times before. There are no cheat codes, guys. Okay, now if you want to go to a priest or a priestess or a shaman to get some information about the next phase of your life and get some information that you're going to actually apply into your life so that you can continue to grow on your spiritual journey, that is highly recommended. Why? I just explained. This person has dedicated their life to this. Most likely this was their calling. This was a part of their life path, and this is something that they're supposed to be doing. This isn't something that they're doing to get likes. This isn't something that they're doing necessarily to get money. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some charlatans out there who forget the assignment and end up getting too caught up on the influencer side of things, and they lose their way. But for the most part, you're not going to see too many of the real priests and priestesses out there displaying heavily our spiritual traditions, okay? Because as people of the African diaspora and all throughout traditional African spirituality, a lot of this information was hidden. Okay, that's another thing. I'm looking like, what the hell's going on? Why are you showing this entire thing on social media? There's a reason that our ancestors preserved a lot of our traditional spirituality so that it would be sacred and it would be something that would be long lasting. It's also a reason that to access a lot of this information based on our level of understanding, it would have to be activated in our DNA, meaning that we would have to actually go on some sort of a journey of our own to whether that be shadow work, whether that be a calling into it, in order for us to access what is specifically and uniquely necessary for the individual. Okay, so don't be fooled by a lot of people who, yes, they are getting information from somewhere. Yes, they are having the ability to be able to tell you something generic that may be based on what you're experiencing now. They could tell you that, oh, wow, you're really going through a lot right now and you don't know which decision is the right decision. I mean, come on, that could pretty much go for about half of the planet right now, depending on how you're looking at it and where you are in your mindset. Okay, they could also do things to be able to control your way of thinking about things because they're not functioning from a high vibratory frequency of a divine connection of any kind. Because, like I explained, real priests and priestesses and healers and people who have these different types of abilities, they don't work like that. Simple as that, okay? If you are drawn to them, you are drawn to them for a reason, and then they can be of service to you. But if you don't have any kind of access to that, or if you have information overload and you're completely confused because of some of the shit that you've seen out there, because I see some shit that makes my head spin, and I'm looking like WTF, because me being who I am and what's inside of my DNA, and the ancestors that I work with, first and foremost, anybody coming in my box telling me that, oh yeah, I just did a reading and I know this, I know that they're lying. I know straight up that they're lying. Why? Because I know that I work with highly ascended ancestors and spirit guides that do not fuck with low vibrational energies, period. Okay, so you're not getting anything from them. I mean, you're not getting anything you're not supposed to get. I have warrior ancestors that stay protecting my portals, that let me know if anything's amiss and somebody's trying to pry. So I know that you're lying and you're just telling me whatever. And I usually come back with them with something pretty fierce, and they just go away and dissipate because they realize that I can't be manipulated. Okay. So once you know these things, not to mention I have a highly spiritual background because of what's in my DNA. I said this before, I've got over 17 years of study and the journey of how I do things. One of the first things I learned how to do years ago was to read tarot cards, but I learned how to read those tarot cards within my own life. So a lot of times these tools that people may pick up are actually for them. They're actually to help them in their own life. Not everybody is a priest or a priestess or a healer. I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but just because you learned something doesn't mean you're supposed to do it. Okay, you may be learning this information, like I just said, to help you within your own life. Okay, so I still run the tarot cards. I still do cartonomy. I still utilize the messages from the numbers, and I utilize them in my daily life. Okay, I don't go out there doing readings for everybody. I have some people that I've never met before that'll come to me and they feel drawn to me, and they feel something inside of me, and they'll ask me to give them a reading or ask me like what it is that I see. And so I'm able to work with people like that. But I don't broadcast that type of stuff. Most of the stuff that I do is for myself when it comes to that type of work. And there is opening protections that I do. There's closing procedures that I do at the end of that to make sure that I'm not leaving my spirit door wide open for any and every flipping thing to get up in there. Okay. So if these people are not doing that, you have to ask yourself, who the fuck are you working with? That's what I'm thinking. A lot of times when they come emerging and, bombarding and imposting their way into my energy field, that's exactly how I feel. I feel like it's intrusive and somebody just walked into my front door and I give them the boot real quick. Okay. So I'm looking like, I don't know who you working with, but I'm not interested because I already know that my ancestors are they're not even messing with you. Okay. So you just have to be careful for some of the stuff that you see out there. And as you start to grow on your spiritual journey, and as you start to learn more about yourself, as you begin to heal more, like I said, you're going to activate things within inside of your own DNA that's going to give you access to sacred wisdom and information that is specific to you, that'll give you also spiritual discernment. Okay. And I'm also going to emphasize this again because it's so crucial. Having a solid and strong connection with the divine. Yes. Okay. I totally believe there is a divine creator that has created everything, the planets, a divine great spirit, energy, whatever you want to call it. But I also believe that we are all expressions of that divine. So we have a lot of these abilities within inside of us to be able to carry out godlike qualities within our lives. Okay, so I don't separate the two, but at the same time, I know that I didn't create any trees and I didn't create the ocean, but I know that I can work in conjunction with the wind, the ocean, the moon, and those things, and be able to create some different types of experiences other than humanly experiences on a spirit level. Okay, so let's get that straight. It's not about religious aspects, even if that is your preference, and so be it. Like I said, whatever it takes for someone to get some sort of conscious contact with their divine creator, do it. Okay, whatever it is. So once you have that, once you have those things, that connection, once you have your connection with your bloodline ancestors, not somebody else's, once you start to realize who your spirit helpers are, it's going to open up much more understanding for you. Okay, you won't be so easily manipulated by people who are utilizing our traditional African spirituality, as entertainment. Hey, I know how to read cards, and I'm going to practice on the world. Who the hell told you to do that? If you're not implementing it in your own life, what shadow work have you done? I mean, there's times when I go on spiritual journeys within my own life where I have to completely pull back away from people and get offline and everything, because I have to be so in tune with what's going on inside of me. I can't be out here being an influencer like that. Okay. So, just be careful for the sorcerers. And I know some people label themselves like that, but sorcery, like I said, is the use of dark black magic all the damn time, and you're conjuring up evil spirits with it. Now, where are these evil spirits coming from? If you don't know the entities that you're working with, and you don't know the entities that these people are working with, you could be setting yourself up for something that you don't even know how to get out of, okay? So just watch out for the sorceries. Use your own spiritual discernment. Utilize your own intuition. Start to strengthen these of God-given abilities that you have within inside of yourself so that you will be able to understand what is and what ain't, okay? Especially in the world and the time that we're living in right now, where it's a rise and a mass awakening on the planet, and you have a lot of people who truly believe that they're working in alignment with the divine, when in actuality they are being duped and they're working on the other side. They're actually working on the side of evil against the very thing that we're trying to combat, okay? This is a spiritual warfare. Once you start to understand yourself as a spirit, having a human experience, you think and you move different. You pay attention to things different, okay? Things that may have seemed harmless before, you will see the harm in them, okay? So no, I'm not against anybody who's into root work or anybody who knows how to, work with the energies in the spirit realm to be able to get things to create a better life. Not at all. I'm against people who manipulate energy and who utilize different entities that they don't even know that they're working with, low-level vibrational entities, for material and capitalistic gains, as well as feeding off of the spirits of other people, okay? So this one was kind of heavy. I know it's controversial. I am definitely looking forward to what you guys have to say in the comment section, but just remember what I said. If something really resonates with you, let me know. Check me out on social media. Let me know how you felt about this. But just watch out for the sorcerers, guys. All right, until the next episode. Peace.